any word on Nat Butcher, the extent of that injury? And it looks like another tough one for you guys.
Yeah, it was a PCL injury, so posterior cruciate, which is obviously good news in a way, but also it's not a week or two. You know, it's going to be a couple more than that. Which so he'll be racing the clock for some games into the finals. So as soon as we can. It's pretty early days at the moment, but I guess it's good and bad news.
You must be getting it must be really tough for you to continually find a way to balance the team when you seem to keep losing guys. Like, I don't think I've ever seen such an unlucky run, yet a team continue to show up and keep finding a way to win.
Yeah, it's been it has been a challenging year, but it's also been an exciting year for that reason. But forming combinations, we've had to take a different view on how you form combinations. We've had to move players in positions, but also base those positional changes on combinations that they've had before or friendships that they've got, or so it's not all. I can't always make them stand next to someone that they've played 20, 30, 100 games with, but I can get them to stand next to guys and have additional conversations and hang out a bit more and all of that. So our method hasn't just been on the park, it's been off the park as well. But I wouldn't say, it hasn't been difficult, it's been challenging, but also, we're all learning different ways. But it's still an exciting part of the year for us.
What about Lockie Lamb starting at centre? I'm not sure he started there before, but I feel like he's played there a fair bit of late. Yeah,
he's obviously played. He played there. What would it have been? 37 minutes, 36 minutes on the weekend, and he played at right centre for a long time against Parramatta. Lockie's a footy player, and it sort of got to that point where. If I could wave a magic wand and turn a hooker into an outside back, I would, but I can't. So we need to, adapt. And Lockie's been incredible at adapting, not only this year but over the years. So,
What was the issue with Dale Copley? You were expecting him to miss much footy?
He broke a bone in his foot. So the first run where he stepped off the right to try and score that try, and he sort of collapsed a bit. So he played, 78 minutes with a broken foot. That was a courageous effort from Cops, but it won't be anytime soon.
So, it's the outside back curse continues. Brad Abbey gets a chance. He's been with you guys for a while, but probably wouldn't have had a lot of footy of late. Yeah,
so he's been with us all this year. He hasn't played a lot lately, but I've seen him play since he was 16. I went across to a New Zealand camp and watched Brad Abbey, who was one of the best young guys in New Zealand, coming through as a fullback. He's been wonderful to have with us, and now it's time. It's time for him to get out there and show not what he's worth, but just who he's been as a footy player for a long period of time. A lot of those guys haven't got to play much over the last couple of years, but we believe in Brad and look forward to him playing outside Joey.
Just looking at the team list, the 21-man squad's only got 20 names in it. Does that sort of highlight just how tough things have been on the injury front this year? Yeah,
we just... we obviously had the choice of 21, but we had Freddie Lussick, who we loaned to St George, who have had their hooker issues there, and Freddie's time for him to go and play because we've got Ben Marshke and obviously Sam Verrills as well. We're down to 20. That's what we've got, so it wasn't much use playing ducks and drakes and trying to name somebody else who wasn't going to play. We only need 17 to play, so... that's what we'll head out there with.
I was going to ask you about Freddie. Hooker, like you said, there's a few guys in the squad. It's probably the one position where you are pretty well stocked at the moment. So maybe the advantage was just to get him some footy while the other guys are playing. Definitely.
Freddie had a broken arm, I think maybe around 5 or 6 there, and hasn't been able to play, NRL since then. came back, and just as he was about to get going with reserve grade, that all got shut down. So, he's trained hard and he's a hard trainer, so it was time for him to play because we do have players in that position, and yeah.
Thanks, Robbo.
Hey, Robbo, I remember in the press conference post-match last week, you're talking about this Raiders game like a heavyweight fight. And I guess with everything that you've had to deal with and the challenges, has there been a tougher test for you guys this year? Is this really sort of be a tough one in terms of just the contest? And also, amazingly, 225 games against Souths, and there's only 6 points that separate you. There's always something special about this contest.
Yeah, there always is, and it's we're looking forward to it. I said we're looking forward to the contest. Mentally, we'll be in the right spot. We'll be ready to play, and it's about us going out and executing the game plan that we want to play. We're very clear on what we want to do. We're very clear on how we want to go about playing, and that's just about fine tuning that over the next couple of days. So. These are the games that you really look forward to, and the contest will be on, and we want to charge at it. So we look forward to getting out there and resuming the long-standing history that we have with our neighbours.
Robert, you started Sam Walker on the bench last week. How's he holding up physically? The young kid finishing his first year in first grade. And is he a player you would have liked to have maybe managed a bit more if you'd had some options and there weren't so many injuries?
No, Sammy's, you could see he's out there playing footy. He obviously jumped on there straight away and set up the short side try on the weekend. He's still that balance between how do you not touch a player that sees the game in a certain way, and then how do you give him the tools that he needs to compete every week in first grade. And that's no different with any player that's coming through. When you've got a half, they're more scrutinised and more targeted than any other player. The people standing in front of them, the mismatch is the greatest in our game, with the back rowers and the halves and the space around them. So that's why it's a much coveted position and a tough position. And Sammy's been incredible coming in his first year to go and play like he has. So as I said, I'll manage him in the ways that I can, but the game looks after teaching the lessons that they need as well. So just keep forging on, and Sammy will keep playing with the confidence that he's got in himself.
Last week, we saw Souths have a few troubles at the back, Latrella and the wingers under the high ball with Nathan Cleary. Is that an area that you're looking to exploit this week?
Oh, look, as I said, we've got a game plan. We just had our first training session today after the short turnaround. And there's areas that we want to look at. I won't go into what they are, but we want to execute our plan well. We need to get the new combinations together, execute it well, and then we can start looking at Souths and what we need to do there.
Latrell against Teddy at the back there, the two number ones. Just how crucial that clash be in terms of deciding the result of the game?
Yeah, I think with the best players in your team, that they're always going to have a big say in how the performance or how the teams match up. So there's no difference there. They're both wonderful players. So I think everybody enjoys watching them play, and for slightly different reasons as well in the way they go about playing. So never miss an opportunity to watch those two.
Robbo, just a word on Isaac Leo. I think it's his 200 this weekend for the club. Just the 11th Roosters to do it.
Definitely. That. If Teddy was playing his 200th, it would have been the first question asked. Ice, this is his career. It's the 10th question asked. And that's the way that Ice has gone about his 200 games. He debuted in 2013, and just before he departs, he gets to play his 200th and go into rare air at the Sydney Roosters. And it's such a privilege to coach as low maintenance a player as you will ever get. He knows his task. He's details driven. and he's played with an amazing capacity to improve himself year on year. You know, he's just I can't speak highly enough of him. He's just an incredible player for us, and no one whispers his name. So we've been built on some star players, but we've also been built on players like Ice. So I'm just so chuffed that he's getting to play the 200 games here before he heads closer to home.
Hey Robbo, some of the boys early in the week spoke about Ice's attention to detail and professionalism. What's he like as the man off the field? I was saying he was, pretty quiet and reserved, but what's he really brought off the field to the club?
Ice is shy, but also now very confident in who he is as a person. So he does not waste a word. There is not a wasted word from Ice. If he doesn't need to speak, he doesn't, and if he does need to speak, he thinks twice, and then when finally he needs to speak, he'll say what he needs to say. And he's a very popular member of our group. He's one of those people that you gravitate to him, but you don't. It's a bit like Joey Manu. You don't expect a lot back, but being around those guys is really important. But when he says something, it sticks because he's thought about it and it means something to him. And he is a detailed guy. He'll write as much as anybody in our meetings, and he'll be precise about the way he goes about playing his game. If you watch him play a game, you'll marvel at the detailed nature of either his footwork or the way that he passes the ball or the way that he makes a tackle. I'm going to enjoy the number of games I've got left with Ice.
And you've coached a number of players who've hit the double century in your time as head coach. I guess what are some of the qualities that those players have shown to reach that milestone?
Yeah, consistency to hold the weight of wearing the jersey. I think that's important. You know, when you wear a jersey and when you wear the colours of the Roosters, it holds a weight. But some people find it heavy and some people find it uplifting, and those guys that have reached those 200s and 300s have found it uplifting. And if you can carry the weight and perform every single week, there's not a week off, there's not an easy week. And they've assumed that role, but what they've often done is they've become really strong men in their own right, and that's how you get to those games. You don't get propped up by the team, or you don't get propped up by coaches, or you end up standing on your own 2 feet. And if you look at the guys that are playing those amount of games, they're men.
And earlier this week, the club announced Stable's charity nest reached $4.5 million, and I guess that's coincided with the Ronald McDonald House visits that the players have done early in the year and over Zoom. I guess how's that experience for the playing group, and how did that kick off?
Yeah, what was the first year of Charity Nest, Alex? What was that?
2010.
Yeah, I thought when I was an assistant coach, when Steggles came on board in 2010 and said $1,000 for every point that we win by. I think that was the Charity Nest, and it was incredible for a major sponsor to come on and sponsor, but then also say, hang on, we're going to sponsor through giving to charities, and they rotate the charities. $4.5 million. You know, that hasn't gone to the Roosters, it hasn't gone to Steggles, it's gone to charities in a decade, bit over a decade. So it's incredible to have $4.5 million from our game go to the people that need it. And then Ronald McDonald House, we formed a link there with Ronald McDonald House. We have over the years, but then more so this year. And we wanted to spend a lot more time with them every week going out there, and we haven't been able to do that. But there's been a bond there between the players and some of the kids, and it's charities are really important, but it's easy to say charity. If you walk in those doors, it's sort of a bit deeper than that. And I know our players are still in contact with some of the kids there, so yeah, well done, Steggles, and just a shout out to the kids in Ronald McDonald House.
Robo, I just wanted to circle back to Brad Abbey really quickly. Sorry to circle
You're right.
way back, but what stood out to you? What stood out to you about him since he joined the club? You said you've been watching him since he was 16. What's really stood out to you?
Yeah, the thing is the struggle that Brad's gone through. You know, he was one of the next in line. He was coming through as the Warriors fullback, and then they recruited Roger over there, which has obviously worked out really well for him. And then Brad had to move to Canterbury, and then had to move to Raiders. Went to West Tigers and reserve grade. This is a really common story in our game. You know, a lot of us went through it there when you end up bouncing to look for your opportunity, and he's got a beautiful wife, Michaela, and kids, and he's still plying his trade, and looking for that opportunity. So all of that's he's got a really nice skill about him. So his ability to catch and pass. He's at fullback. He's had really good vision since he was a kid about reading opposition attacking play, and then it's just about him getting an opportunity to deliver. And we don't expect him to play the best game he's ever played. It's go out and stand next to Joey and do a really good job. You know, you deserve it, so go out and believe in yourself and play some good footy.
Great, thanks, mate.
Hey, Trent, can I get just some clarification on something you said a bit earlier as well?
Yep.
Dale Copley, do you expect him to be out for the season, or?
I don't know, Hugo. I'm not sure exactly where it's at. Like, a broken bone in the foot's not great. It's not like the other guys, but it's to be honest, I'm not sure yet. I haven't got the final word off the doctor, other than saying that he's in the boot walking around, but I'm not sure where, whether it's 3 or 4 weeks or whether that's season.
And do you expect him to be part of the squad next season, or is his time up at this end of this season?
Yeah, his contract's up at the end of this season with us. It was at the Broncos, and it is at the moment with us.
And just finally, this might be a bit of an unusual one. I guess that's all my questions.
Perfect, Hugo.
But, have you got me?
Yep.
Adam Reynolds could play his last ever game for the Rabbitohs against the Roosters. He's obviously played a big part in this kind of historic rivalry. I'm just wondering what your kind of great or least favourite memories are of him coming up against him.
I've enjoyed watching him play his games, and it's not finished, so it's not as if he's retiring. He's going on to move to another club, but haven't thought much about it other than trying to defend him and get our opportunities around him if we can. So the rivalry's been good. He's been such a solid player for them, and I think the thing for him is I think he's been. Did he pass the top point scorer? I think of Eric Sims in the club. And they're both legendary players of the Rabbits. So well done to both of them, to Adam for doing that.